Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I think people are perverts. I've maintained that. That's the foundation of my career.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the initial podcast of House of Fincher, a show that takes a look at every single project that Fincher himself has directed. I am your co-host, Tristan Riddell, and with me for this entire journey is Brandon Mutala and John Mills. How are you guys doing tonight?
Excited, happy, ready to go.
I'm doing really awesome. I'm really excited to be here. You know, I want to thank the two of you because this has kind of been my dream podcast since I've started podcasting, but I've just been doing too much darn Star Trek podcasting, so this has always been kind of taking a back burner. And the reason that we're doing this and what's really exciting about this is David Fincher has his first film coming out this year in just a few weeks. And, you know, he hasn't had a film come out since Gone Girl. So I'm really excited because David Fincher is my favorite director.
That's right. We're doing all of this as a lead up to Mank, and we could not be more excited for that. And Brandon, let's not gloss over the real reason why we're here. The real reason why we're here is because you asked us to be here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been dying to do some with Tristan here. John and I have done quite a bit of podcasting together, talking about lots of great, wonderful films like Jaws 3 and Jaws the Revenge.
Oh, Jaws the Revenge was such a treat. Such a treat.
But I figured we'd talk about some quality stuff this time. And I know that, Tristan, you're a huge film fan of David Fincher's as well. And I know that John is. And I couldn't think of two people that are exciting me more to talk about a director that I love than you two guys. So this is going to be great.
Oh, thanks,
He
man.
is absolutely my favorite director of all time, hands down. And it's easy for me to say that. I mean, like, Chris Nolan's amazing, and he's definitely my number two. But Fincher will always be my number one. And I'm so excited to take a podcast where we start with Alien 3 and then move on down his IMDb page of director credits. But today, this episode, we're actually going to be starting a little bit before, because he didn't get his start in Alien 3. He didn't just pop out of Zeus's head like Athena and start directing motion pictures. He started in music videos. Mm-hmm. And so we all three of us thought it would be really great if we started talking about why we love Fincher and maybe our first time witnessing something that he made, and then move on to some of our favorite music videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am a big fan of Fincher, and it still always blows my mind that first time I saw the credit in Return of the Jedi, where he was a camera operator. And I was like, wait, is that
what?
the David Fincher? Yes. I was like, is that the David
that.
Fincher? And like, I went on IMDb. I was like, it's the David Fincher. He worked on Return of the Jedi. That's so cool. But I think it was like effects camera operator or something.
Yeah.
That's like finding out that Tim Burton worked on Fox and the Hound.
Right? Right? Everybody's got to start somewhere. But I remember, I mean, you know, I saw Alien 3 in the theater, and I remember the lead up to it. There was a lot of press talking about, you know, all of the music videos he had done, and I was excited for Alien 3, but then I was also, you know, reading the article. It's like, oh, he also did a number of Madonna music videos, and like, my reaction to that wasn't overly positive because I was not a big Madonna fan. And by that point, I hadn't really learned to separate the artistry of the music video from the music of the artist. And I'd like to think that now I'm at the point where I could look back on his stuff and appreciate what he was doing, regardless of whether I like the song that it was paired up with.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, my initial experience with Fincher, like, I'm pretty sure that the first thing I saw of his was Alien 3, and I saw it on video when I was visiting some people in British Columbia when I was kind of young. And I actually think that Alien 3 is the first Alien movie that I saw, and the reason why I think that is because I was always very surprised when Sigourney Weaver had hair in the first two. Right? So it was a surprising thing for me as a youth. But I do remember that the first Fincher movie I saw in theaters was The Game. So I saw that in theaters. That was my first experience, and I really took notice to this film, and I started watching this guy's career. And Fight Club came out. I was too young for Seven, and I didn't see it, I think, until before I saw the game. But I wasn't quite paying attention to directors at that point in my life. So it was really the game that started it off for me. So
the game was probably the first thing that I saw of Fincher's looking back on my life and consuming media. But at the time I had, Brendan, like you were talking about, like I wasn't really paying attention to directors at the time. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't appreciate film the way that I appreciate it now. But the game was definitely the first thing that I was exposed to, mainly just because my dad loved it. Like my dad loves that movie, and he loves Michael Douglas movies. He's very much of that generation. And but it's funny looking back, like I saw Alien 3, I saw tons of music videos, and I had no idea who I was watching or what I was watching. And Brandon, like you, I think I saw Alien 3 first because of the whole hair thing. I was just like, oh yeah, that's what her hair looks like. That's interesting. And what I want to ask you guys, John, I want to start with you. We've talked about our mission statement for the show, about how every episode is going to be one piece of work directed by David Fincher, and that we love Fincher and how we got exposed to him. But we haven't really talked about why we love David Fincher. And that's what I want to ask you, John, and then Brandon. Like, why? Okay. Just the big question of it all.
It's a great question. I would say that Fincher is one of the first directors that I started paying attention to his name. Right place, right time sort of thing. I paid attention to John McTiernan's name because I saw Predator and I saw Die Hard, and I was like, and Hunt for Red October, and I was like, okay, John McTiernan makes movies I like. And with Fincher, after Alien 3, I was one of the few people that was like, oh, guys, it wasn't that bad, right? And then 7 was the kick in the teeth. I remember seeing that in the theater for the first time. I remember where I was sitting in the theater and just glued to my seat sort of thing. And I think with Fincher, what's always attracted is, besides his visual sensibilities, I've always liked the way he approaches the subject matter he approaches. He has a very thoughtful approach. Like it's the sort of thing where, dare I say, it's sort of like what a film professor said to me in the distant past, where he said, no matter what the source material was for Alfred Hitchcock, it looked and felt like a Hitchcock movie. You knew you were watching a Hitchcock film. And I think Fincher is one of those directors where I know what I can expect from him in terms of pacing and tone, whether he's adapting a book, whether it's an original screenplay, whatever it is. I know I'm going to sit down and I know how he's going to approach it, and how he has this absolutely, I don't want to use too big a superlative, but it's this mind-boggling sort of way for him to extract empathy from the audience while not being empathetic toward what he's covering, right? He's posing there's a very philosophical nature to his films. You look at 7, you look at The Game, you look at Alien 3, just look at those first 3. He's dealing with these big issues about life and death and acceptance and growth and all of these things. And he's putting it out there, and you feel for these characters, and some of the people in these movies do horrendous things, but you feel like you understand them at the end of it. And I like that. that.
The thing for me with Fincher that really, while I loved his first 4 movies for storytelling and whatnot, and I'm like, these are really mind-blowing movies, 7 blew my mind in one way, The Game in another, Fight Club in a completely different way. The thing that really made me sit up and take attention to David Fincher was with Panic Room. And like, I truly love Panic Room. And I remember the first time I saw it, I didn't see it in the theater. I rented the DVD, and it was a Super Bit DVD that I rented from the video store. But I hadn't bought it yet because I knew there was a special edition coming out. And when I bought it, I bought the special edition, and I'm like, why the heck is this thing 3 discs? What is going on here? And so this version that I have is 3 discs, and 2 of the discs are all like production and behind the scenes and like in-depth analysis of how he made this movie. And so watching all of this bonus feature, all these bonus features for this movie really made me appreciate him, because Panic Room is like one of those, what do they call it in TV show? Like it's a bottle movie, right? It basically completely takes place in this one apartment. It's generally what you would get out of a low budget movie, this type of story. And David Fincher put all of this effort into this movie with all of these wonderful technical feats. And it's really jaw-dropping, some of the stuff that he did in this movie. So when he has a movie that's condensed like this, he still gives it 110% and does everything he can to make it stand out in some way. And I think that's really marvelous of this director. And that's really when I started to take attention. And I mean, at this time I was into movies, but this kind of took me to a whole new appreciation of him as a director.
I love that you brought up Panic Room, because I feel like that's a criminally underrated film of his. I feel like it's often overlooked. And what's crazy is that it cost less than Fight Club and made more. You know, and it's just those types of things that really, just really make me laugh. I feel like, Fincher's sweet spot is 50 million. Like so many of his films are in that 50 million spot, and then they make so much more, sometimes just double. But hey, still, from 50 million, we're talking about millions here, which I think is now, if you're not talking about billions, you're not having a conversation. At least that's what I think people feel like right now. Mm-hmm. But with me and what I love for Fincher, it's when you turn it on, you can see just a few frames of whatever you're watching, and you immediately know it's Fincher. And it's not just because we've seen it 1,000 times before. It's just because of the aesthetic, the color, the way the camera moves, and how the actors are placed, and the thought that is put into the scene, and how he doesn't shoot coverage in the same way that other directors do, about how he doesn't shoot plates, that he knows exactly which angle he wants on the day, and he's going to get it. I think he has a phrase where there's 2 ways to shoot a scene, and one of them is wrong. And it's beautiful to think of that, because there's so many different schools of thought when it comes to filmmaking. And like there's some people who are just like, oh well, as long as I get these 4 shots on the day, then I'm good, and we can experiment with the rest, and then whatever happens. There's other people who are like, let's just put the camera down, see what happens. And then there's other people who just storyboard every single thing, other people who keep it in their heads. And Fincher has the bravado to say there are 2 ways to shoot a scene, and one of them is wrong. I love that bravado. And I know and have worked with a few people who know and have worked with David Fincher, and not all of it is positive. In fact, a big chunk of it is negative, because he is such a bull to work with. And one person said, actually, I think they were quoting someone, but they reiterated it. The problem with David Fincher is that he can do your job better than you, and he knows it. I love that kind of confidence. Yeah. I truly respect it. And I'm a video producer myself. I not in movies, but I make my living in making videos and promos and commercials and interviews and things like that. And I started out as an editor. Seven, the opening credit sequence of Seven, is the reason I wanted to become an editor. Wow. And it's no hyperbole. Like I knew I was going to do something in video, ever since I was young. But when I saw Seven, I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make stuff. I'm going to make things like that. I'm going to edit things together. And it just blew my mind away. When Seven caught me at just the right time, even though I saw stuff from Fincher before. Mm-hmm. Seven is what really turned me into the professional that I am today. And all of those things that I've said is the reason why I love Fincher, is because of how he treats his material and how good he is at his job as well as everybody else's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting too because of how long he's been making movies. Like Alien 3 came out in 93. I was doing some research, and there's like some kind of music documentary that I've never seen. I can't remember the band right off the top of my head that he did as well. But that's 93. So he's been making movies for almost 30 years right now, and he's only got 10. He's only got 10 films, and Mank's going to be his 11th film, which is not a lot, right? For somebody who's very talented and does a lot of work. Like, if you look at somebody like Spielberg, who puts as much effort into his films, like Spielberg's making like 2 films a year.
Yeah, Panic Room came out in 2002, and Zodiac came out in 2007.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's a big chunk of time.
But the thing is, Spielberg is also in an era in his life right now where he's making the films he wants to make by virtue of making stuff like Ready Player One, where he's like, okay, I'll knock out this thing that's supposed to make a couple $100 million, and then I'll make, The Paper or something like that too.
But he's always done that, though. Going back to like the 90s, he did, what did he do? He did, like, I think it was Minority Report and Amistad came out in the same year. Like Jurassic Park was hot on the heels of Schindler's List or something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think later Spielberg, yes, I think that's valid, but I think earlier Spielberg, he had more of a measured pace to him. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But my impression is that Spielberg, like post Jurassic Park, sort of, because you have that transition point. But we're not here to talk about Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you talk about number of films that Fincher has done. Tarantino's done 9 by this point, and he is a cause celeb, with justifiably so, because his films are terrific.
Yeah. And that's the same span as Fincher as well. He's done 9, and Fincher's done 10. And like what Reservoir Dogs was, 92?
Was it 92?
Yeah, Reservoir Dogs was 92.
Alien 3 is 93, I think.
I thought Alien 3... No, I'm pretty sure Alien 3 was 92.
It's 92. Both came out in
so
92.
Same year, even there.
Yeah. So yeah, they truck along, and I think that it's because when you're dealing with a director like Fincher, the reason that you enjoy his films so much, and the reason that you pay attention to the art and the craft and everything like that, is because he takes his time, is because he's not trying to just churn stuff out. And the reason I, pointed to Spielberg doing what he does is because, Ready Player One, I didn't even see anything that was like, oh yeah, Spielberg had to have directed this. Like, there was no like stamp on it in such a way. Whereas like his later dramatic stuff, I can be like, okay, I can see this as a Spielberg movie, at least this era of him, sort of thing. And Fincher's just always had that unique artistic turn, and of course dabbled in streaming television and stuff like that as well.
Now, do we want to reveal our favorite David Fincher film this early in the process? No,
not yet. I want us to reveal our favorite one when we get to that episode.
Okay.
Well, so one thing that I want to ask you guys then, since we're asking this question then, is did we want to rank them as we go along? Because like we obviously next episode we're doing Alien 3, that's the first, right? And then but from then on we could be like, okay, let's rank them now and see like where does this fit in our Fincher love right now. And so then by the end when we get to Mank, then we'll have our final rankings of everything.
Well, all of my rankings are available to the public at letterboxd.com/theinsanerobin. So
yes,
if people really want to find out,
I'll make a Fincher list now.
Okay, so then since you asked that question though, I will spoil something on here. Okay, so like the one that I'm actually looking forward to discussing the most is, believe it or not, Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Okay, because I've only seen it once and I didn't like it the first time that I saw it, but that's why I'm really looking forward to going back and visiting it. And with a little bit of spoilers for the next episode, with the Alien 3 rewatch and rewatching again the extended cut, I mean, right now at this point in my life, 9 out of 10 David Fincher films I rank with 5 stars.
Wow.
Like I truly love David Fincher and I love all of his movies. And so that's also why I'm really looking forward to going back to Curious Case of Benjamin Button, because that's the only one that I don't rank as 5 stars.
Wow. That's you're entering dangerously into my Tarantino rankings. Where like I'll talk all day about everything except the extended version of Death Proof and Kill Bill Volume 1, because without Volume 2, I got to watch those movies back to back. Otherwise, I get mad at the end of Kill Bill Volume 1. So
that's why you watch the whole bloody affair. Do you guys like, I don't know, like that's where I'm at. We're going into this. So what, Tristan, what one are you looking forward to discussing the most in this podcast?
Well, I feel like if I do that, I'm going to reveal what my number one is, and I don't want to make John angry.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
So, like, okay, I'll say this: the one that's not my absolute favorite that I'm looking forward to talking about the most is probably Zodiac. That's not my favorite, and I didn't really dig it the first time I watched it, but it has grown on me more and more now that I've learned more about the genre. Now that I've seen Mindhunter and how, like, you can see David Fincher grow from, like, he took what he learned from Zodiac and implemented it into Mindhunter, and just having an entire, basically since 2007, so like for 13 years now, seeing tons of psycho killer movies, just being churned out over and over again in the same template that just look the same and feel the same and have the same ending. It makes you appreciate how different Zodiac was. And that's what I'm looking forward to discussing and revisiting.
I would say I'm looking forward to discussing all of them, but I don't want to do that dodge. But in all seriousness, I'm looking forward to discussing The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, because I'm not as crazy in love with it as others might be. And in fact, I've taken special glee in trolling those who like it more than me. And so I want to come back to it. I want to see it again, because I know the specific reasons I didn't like it at the time. But we all change and grow, and we're different people when we come back to these movies. And so I'm legitimately curious about having a discussion about it to find out if my mood about it has shifted at all. The way that, Tristan was there when the world was shocked and stunned that somebody who spent decades curb stomping The Shining rewatched it and said, no, this is actually a masterpiece. I love this film.
Yeah. Now, when you say curb stomping, you mean that.
Yes.
Like, you hated The Shining.
I did.
And you reminded everyone who would listen that you hated The Shining.
That's very true. You couldn't even talk about the Simpsons parody of it without me inserting, and I hate The Shining. Like, it's one of those things. But I came to love it. I came to adore it and see it for the art that it was. So,
and that's one thing that I love about you, John, is that you were willing to change your mind. You are open to interpretation, and you're willing to give things a second chance. And even after decades of being wrong, like you were about The Shining, you're able to broaden your horizons just a little bit more. So I'm thinking, let's go ahead and dip into music videos, because I feel
I have one more question before we do that, actually.
Okay.
One little more lead up here. Do you guys have any Fincher blind spots? So, like, other than, like, I've seen 3 of his music videos now. I mean, I guess 50. I've got 52 music video blind spots, basically. I mean, other than that, I think I've seen everything. I'm actually going to look it up while we're talking, because there's that music video documentary thing that I saw on Letterboxd, and I'll ask you guys if you know about it. But John, do you have any Fincher blind spots?
I would say that probably my only real blind spot, because I'm not going to consider all the music videos and everything, because they were always playing in the background of my youth, so I'm sure I've seen them and or forgotten about them. But probably just anything he directed on House of Cards beyond the first season, because that was a show that I didn't really care for the way others did, and that was specifically because I didn't. The way the first season resolved itself, I couldn't stick with characters that I hated, that I actually hated when I saw them on screen. So I had to dip out of that show. But I'm fairly certain I've seen everything else that he's done.
Tristan?
I've seen everything.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely. I think, and John, with House of Cards, if you've seen the first season, then you've seen what he's directed in House of Cards.
Yes! Hooray! I win! I've seen everything then.
Because all he directed in House of Cards was the first 2 episodes. Everything else was just executive produced. In Mindhunter, it's gonna happen all the time. He directed 7 episodes, so he was really invested. And not to say he wasn't invested in House of Cards, but he really delighted in directing Mindhunter over House of Cards, obviously.
Yeah.
So this one on Letterboxd here, I don't know It says Rick Springfield, The Beat of the Live Drum, directed by David Fincher in 1985. It's like a 71-minute documentary. So I haven't seen that, right? And I'm not particularly interested in going to look for it. I mean, I guess maybe at some point I will. Have you guys even heard of this?
A documentary about the music video?
It's just a documentary. So Rick Springfield, The Beat of the Live Drum is what it's called.
Huh.
And it's directed by Fincher. So.
No, I never even heard of it.
I've seen it too long ago it was when I was a kid and was trying to gobble everything up that he's ever done, and I couldn't tell you a thing about it.
Yeah. So we're not covering that for this podcast because I don't want to.
No.
Yeah,
I think we're okay with just his film and television that he's directed.
Mm-hmm. So that'd be it. But other than that, I've seen everything. So yeah, and yeah, it's. I'm actually kind of disappointed in myself for how little I've seen in the theater. Like Quentin Tarantino, I was so excited to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in the theaters because that would have been my first Tarantino film in the theaters, and I didn't get around to it. So I still haven't seen a Tarantino movie in the theaters. And for Fincher, I mean, I've only seen 3 of his movies in the theater. I saw Zodiac, I saw The Game, and I saw The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and I haven't seen any of the other ones in theaters. So
I'm not that big. Like people who've listened to me for a while, or listen to my show Nerd Nuptial that I did with my wife. I'm not that crazy about going to the theater. I mean, I like going to the theater, but I am absolutely fine not seeing something in the theater. It's very, very, very rare for me to be like, oh my gosh, absolutely, you got to see this on the big screen. Like I saw Fight Club a couple months ago with Mike Schindler, who's also on the network, and we saw it in at the Music Box in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so great because he's like, now that Disney bought Fox, you might not get to see Fight Club in 35 millimeter again, so you need to go see this. So he convinced me to go, and we both took our spouses, and it was this old rickety 35 millimeter print. It was scratched to hell. The Music Box had no AC, and it was like the seats were tiny, built for Americans who were made in the 1920s, and it, like, your feet were sticking to the floor, and it was awesome. It was just so perfect. It was the perfect experience to see Fight Club in. And this was just last year. This was in 2019, not 1999. And so that's when that was the first time I saw Fight Club on the big screen, and that was fantastic. Mm-hmm. But I've seen Benjamin Button, Social Network, Gone Girl, on the big screen, and I think that's it. But the thing is that, yeah, like I said, it doesn't bother me. I'm not one of those people who delays seeing something just so they can see it on the screen.
Mm-hmm. And like Mank, like they might do, Netflix sometimes does that where they release one of their movies in theaters for a short run. I'm in Regina, Saskatchewan. Like there's no Mank theatrical release here. So
yeah, or Orlando doesn't have the most robust limited release either. I can't wait for the Alamo Drafthouse to open down here because I'll have a shot at least at those sorts of limited runs.
Mm-hmm. I'm in the Chicagoland area, so I usually get access to those things if I want it. I just don't normally take the opportunity because, like, especially with Netflix films, like if you give me the option where they're like, oh, you can see this in theaters and take your wife for $40 and you have to get a babysitter, or you can watch this on Netflix like 3 weeks later for virtually free. Like on your badass TV and your huge king size bed, then yeah, no, I'm gonna choose the 3 week delay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
Even if it's Fincher.
I think the reason you guys get so much stuff in Chicago is because of Mike Schindler.
That is you're not lying. The man works in theatrical distribution and knows everything.
Yes.
So what do you think? Should we move on? Should we go to music videos?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do music videos. I know that I watched a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them for this, just to see, because I wanted to get a sampling. So I did go back and watched Dance the World Away from Rick Springfield, which I think is like 85, 86, something like that.
Mhm.
And that was interesting. That was interesting because there were certain visual stylings that, were there even back then, but you can definitely tell that he's not as he's not where he is later, basically. Like this is like just trying to figure it out sort of stage. But still some interesting stuff because there's this post-apocalyptic, tone to the song, and so there are these rapid cuts back and forth with Rick Springfield in a post-apocalyptic wasteland and singing in a nightclub, like a flapper nightclub sort of thing. So there's some really interesting visual stuff going on with it.
The problem that I have with music videos is like I don't understand what the director's duty is. Like, does the director come up with, okay, here's the song, now I'm the director and I want this story? Or is it the artist who's like, okay, I'm the artist and I have this song and I want you to direct this and this is the broad strokes of what I want you to do in the music video? Like, I don't, and then I don't know if you guys remember pop-up video on Much Music, but there'll be like, okay, and this is what's going on in this story. And I'm like, okay, I did not get that at all half the time. I'm like, so I don't know. I don't know how to read music videos most of the time. I just watch them because they're neat.
It really all depends. I mean, a lot of times, the company who distributes the song, who owns the rights to the song, will find a producer that they really like, and then the producer will either come up with an idea or they'll meet with the artist and they'll come up with the idea together, and then they'll hire a director, or sometimes the artist is not involved whatsoever and it's just the producer and the company working with the director, or the director is the producer sometimes. Other times an artist will find a director that they really like and say, come up with an idea. It really all depends. It can be all over the place. Mm-hmm. And that's why the MTV Music Video Awards always make me laugh, because it's just Taylor Swift got the award for best music video, even though she didn't have crap to do with it except sing in it. Mm-hmm. Yep. That always makes me laugh. Because it's funny, because no one who's watching the MTV Music Video Awards want to see the people who actually made the video. They just want to see the person who performed it. Mm-hmm. And that's always fun. I watched I knew which 3 music videos were my favorite for David Fincher. And I want to start with my number 3 was Billy Idol's Rock the Cradle of Love.
Oh gosh. Okay. That video, wow.
I know. I love it because it's so ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And it has an image of a woman's stiletto heel falling into a decorative fish tank. It's so beautiful, beautifully 1990. It's so Billy Idol. And that's why I love it, is because David Fincher knew Billy Idol, and he knew who he was. And it's such a ridiculous concept of like this nerd just has his life rocked because some hot girl just needed to dance in his room. She just needed to dance to express herself. And it's such an absurd concept. And you have this perverse imagery of Billy Idol just voyeuristically peeping on them from the walls. And that's the Fincher that we all know and love. Like, that's because he's gone on record saying that he makes movies about perverts. That's his bread and butter. And I feel like this was like just a kind of him dipping the toe in the perverse water.
Mm.
Yeah, he makes nonsense look classy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, no, I didn't watch that one here. So like the first one that I picked, I mean, I just picked 3. Right. And the first one I picked because I was kind of surprised was Cold Hearted by Paula Abdul.
Oh, geez.
Right. Yep. And I mean, like, I remember that song on the radio from when I was a kid, but like this video was pretty hot. So, and I'd never seen it before. Like all of these I hadn't seen before. So like in a nutshell, there's like some kind of producers that are coming to check out this thing, and she dances for them, and they're on like scaffolding and doing all these crazy sexy movements. And then all the producers are like gaga eyes and, yeah. And then at the end, they're like, "Yeah, that was nice."
Yes.
So, I don't know.
I remember that video from my youth. Yes. I liked that video very much. Very, very much. I too would have said I liked it at the end of that dance routine for sure.
was
For
nice.
sure.
Give me a moment.
Yes, right. You know what though? That's the thing. Is it's so fascinating to me because so many directors came up through music videos that went on to have good careers, and everything was so sexualized in so many of the videos. I almost wonder how much of that informed the way they approached material through the 90s, because you look back at the 90s, it's much more, the movies have many more sexual components to them than you would expect today, and from a certain definite male perspective sort of thing. And so it's like, I wonder how much of that training bleeds over into the movies that we got, because Michael Bay did music videos as well. And so you see this sort of school of thought that maybe had an impact on everybody as they were coming up. I don't know. No idea if that's a legit theory or not.
No, quite probable. That makes sense to me.
Because that ties into one of the other videos I watched, which I knew I was getting into trouble, was Madonna's Vogue, which, I wanted to go Rick Springfield really early, Madonna near the end of his video tenure, and I hated this song so much. I hated it. It was, I was never a Madonna fan, and this song was, you couldn't escape this video or this song. But the thing is, what you see is it's Madonna. So yeah, there's like tons of sexuality all over it. But again, it gets back to Fincher finds a way. You see, he's got more of the visual style that you're going to see go into the films shows up by Vogue. You see a lot of forgive me if I misuse the term, Tristan, because I'm not as schooled in this stuff as you, but would it be fair to say soft focus is at play in that video?
Yeah.
Okay. Yay. I used the right term. But, there's that soft focus, but there's also this black and white. And I think it's very interesting because Fincher, when he's working in color, I would say that there are very few directors who use shadow and lighting as well in color nowadays as Fincher does. And I think that you can definitely see that when he works in black and white with Madonna in Vogue. So, visually, it's a terrific video. Still don't like the song, but hey.
I freaking love the video of Vogue, and I want to bring up my next one. Just I want to cut you off, Brandon, because you brought up something that kind of leads into my next pick, which is Who Is It by Michael Jackson. And this came out just a year after Vogue. And this works a lot with soft focus. This works a lot with shadows and dark, dim light. Like it's weird because it's harsh shadows, but soft focus, very glowy. And it's something that I feel like it was a natural progression from Vogue to this, because yes, while Who Is It is technically in color, it's very monochromatic, which a lot of people say David Fincher is. Like, a lot of critics will say he's overly reliant on having a monochromatic color palette. And I think those people are wrong. Not everybody has to be Wes Anderson, and it's the one thing that I absolutely love about Who Is It by Michael Jackson, which is a commonly overlooked song by Jackson, is that it's about this guy, this rich guy, is dating a very fancy, what's the word I'm looking for? High powered isn't the right word, but like an escort, a prostitute, a very expensive call girl. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Call girl. And she has a different look for each person that she's with, like a different John. And like there's this weird thing where she has a different name for each persona, and it's stamped on metal, on a metal card that would just clang if you threw it on the ground and threw it on the table. And she's in mansions, and there's flowing wind with the curtains and everything like that. And I'm like, of course this is a David Fincher music video, because he makes his money telling stories about perverts, and that is exactly what he's showing with these Johns. And it's just it just makes me laugh.
Mm-hmm. I'm not familiar with that song.
See, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if you go through Fincher's music videography, whatever filmography of music videos, however you want to call it, you see a lot of artists that you recognize. Like, you see the Billy Idols, you see the Michael Jacksons, you see the Madonnas, but then you see the songs attached to those names, and you're just kind of like, oh, I don't really remember that one. Now, obviously, we all know "Express Yourself" in Vogue, but for every Vogue, there is a "Who Is It?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The next video I watched was Roy Orbison's "She's a Mystery to Me," and I don't know this song. I've never heard this song before, but I thought the video was kind of interesting because there's really nobody in the video. There's a couple of, like, over the shoulder, you see some people walking away with some luggage and stuff like this, but it's really like a lot of images of, like, rooms with, like, stuff around, or like a bedroom with messy sheets, or like a hotel room and there's like some luggage there, and it's like somebody's just recently left the room, and so, like, I think that kind of pairs to the theme of the title of the song. But other than that, I don't have much to say on that either, so it wasn't as sexy as Paula Abdul.
Yeah, well, now you bite your tongue. How dare you say Roy Orbison wasn't as sexy as Paula Abdul? That's nonsense, my good man. Nonsense, I say. No, but again, to Tristan's point, that's it's an overlooked song by a well-known artist. So I think what that speaks to is the fact that people knew to look for Fincher by that point. They knew they wanted something to look good and have a good pace and flow, and they knew it was going to be him that was going to get it, that was going to capture the right energy, which ties into one of the ones that I watched, which is an overlooked song by Iggy Pop called "Home," that also came out in 1990, also in black and white, and uses a lot of strobe effect and, quick cut, sort of stuff going on where, it's while Iggy Pop is singing and the strobe effect is going on, it's like jacket on, jacket off, jacket on, jacket off, sort of like intercutting sort of stuff. And it's one of those I consider rare music videos that really captures the type of energy that Iggy Pop brought, or brings, I should say. I don't think that he's burned out yet. But it's one of those things where you watch it and Iggy Pop is breaking the fourth wall through the whole thing. He's singing to you, which I think is an interesting thing that Fincher, you come to House of Cards and, that show is predicated on breaking the fourth wall, having Frank talk to you. And here you have him with "Home," and it's Iggy Pop singing to you, and it's incredibly effective because of the subject matter of, making your home, your identity, yourself, and it ties in as well. I wouldn't consider Iggy Pop a pervert, but he's definitely a provocateur. And so it just captures that sort of manic energy that Pop has been known for.
Nice. Very good. Very good. This is the one that is my top Fincher music video is actually one of my favorite music videos of all time. This is Judith by A Perfect Circle.
Oh, I've never seen that one.
It's so fun. It came out in 2000. So he's already a well-established film director, but he came out with Alien 3, 7, The Game, and Fight Club by then.
Well, I just looked up and I was looking at, like, he did a Justin Timberlake song in 2013.
Yeah, that was his latest one. Yeah, that was I remember that one. So every once in a while he'll dust off the director chair for the music video, and this one, A Perfect Circle, is one of my favorite bands. And Maynard James Keenan, I love his vocal ability. I love his previous band Tool, and I have a lot of respect for what he brings to the table musically. I while I love the song and I love the video, the lyrics, I'm a believer. I'm a Christian believer, and so the lyrics are abhorrent to me. But I respect his right to express himself and his viewpoints on Christianity and religion and Christ. It's all up to every individual. So with that out of the way, this video, it's so simple. And because it's just him and his band in a warehouse setting playing the song. That's all it is. That is all it is. And it's amazing. And it's, even though it was done in 2000 and David Fincher by this time is flirting with digital technology more and more, this video, Judith the video, is all done in a way to look like bad film. Like there's film artifacts, like it's shutter, the shutter is loose and it's coming off of the it's coming out of the gate, and there's hairs and burns, and it's all over the place. It's shaky. It's like it was made 30 years prior and not preserved. Like that's how it looks. And the lighting is stark and contrasty, and you never really see everyone. You don't really see people. You don't see their faces. Like it's often hidden. Sometimes you'll see profiles, but you'll see a low angle shooting up, or you'll see them obscured by a harsh light in the back. And there's no story. There's no through line. It's just them playing the song. And it's amazing. And I can't describe it other than that. It's just so raw and powerful and elemental. And I just love that he can dip his toes into different genres and different styles and still stay true to the artist who's performing the song.
I'll have to check that one out. That one sounds really neat.
You should. I'll send it to you, but it's just as easy to Google it.
Yeah,
Judith,
yeah.
Perfect Circle.
Actually, just so you know, there's a terrific article on IndieWire where they rank. It's their own perspective. They rank all of his videos, and they have them embedded in the entire page. So if you want to go and you want to watch all, I think it's 55 of them, you can just start off with number 55 and work your way all the way down to number 1, which they had as Vogue by Madonna.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right on. So the last one that I chose, I'm like, oh, I'm going to choose this one. I chose Only by Nine Inch Nails. And I'm like, yeah, because, I mean, this is obviously where his collaboration with Trent Reznor started, which led to, what happened with Seven and his scores. And then I'm like, oh, this is from 2005. Okay. So, like, I've got most of Trent Reznor's albums, but, I mean, like, I wouldn't call myself, like, a huge Nine Inch Nails fans. I mean, I like his film scores a lot. And I like his work on How to Destroy Angels more than his Nine Inch Nails stuff, right? But, so I had heard this song, but I hadn't seen this video. And, I mean, like, basically it's a computer showing, like, the music playing to, like, a weird imagery. And then there's, like, one of those, I don't know what they're called. There's, like, that ball, the gravity ball that taps it and causes the other one to pop out and comes back and taps it.
Yeah.
And then there's the main part of it is one of those nail things where you put your hand through it and it shows the imprint of your hand that you used to always buy at those cheap stores. And it's like Trent Reznor's in that, and so the nails are popping out as he's moving around, and it's like he's inside this nail thing. And I mean, Nine Inch Nails is maybe where he got that idea from, the name of the band. But I don't know. It's kind of neat, lots of CGI, and it almost seems like he was like testing out something for where he ended up with the girl with the dragon tattoo opening sequence. So, with this video.
What year did this come out?
05.
05?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that would have been, that was post Panic Room and before Zodiac.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting time for Fincher between Panic Room and Zodiac, because if you look at Fight Club in 99, he experimented a lot with a digital camera. And then in Panic Room, he just goes crazy with a digital. And when I say digital camera, I mean moving the camera through a digital space, like moving the camera in a way that a real camera would not be able to move, like through a chair and through a keyhole, those kind of things. Not digital as in, he shot it digitally, which he does later on. And with this Nine Inch Nails song Only, I mean, it's completely CGI.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a real element in there. I could be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong, but I'm pretty sure like even the coffee cup was CGI. And in Zodiac, I feel like Fincher is just such a master of blending digital effects and utilizing CGI in a way where you don't know you're looking at CGI. And it's I think I would probably, like you say, that it was kind of a testing ground for the opening sequence of Dragon Tattoo. I think it's a testing ground to see how much he can fake and get away with it for Zodiac.
That's actually an interesting point. Like, maybe that's what he's doing here, is he's like testing out, like with continuing on to do music videos after he's become an established director. He's like, here's a way for me to quickly knock something out, and I could test something that I want to do in my upcoming videos. Right? This might be what he's doing by continuing on with music videos in his later career.
I think that's absolutely, I would love to watch everything in his every music video and kind of time it with his feature releases if I had the time to do that, because there's a lot of directors who do that. Like Tony Scott did that. Like he would do commercials, and sometimes I can't remember if it was music videos or not, but I know that he would do commercials. Like he did an extended commercial for BMW, and that was a testing ground for Domino and Man on Fire. That editing style that he did for those films. And so I think, yeah, absolutely. I think it's kind of like a stand-up comedian going to a lesser known club to test out the material before they do their special for HBO.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yep, good. Right
All
on.
right. Well, I think that there we have it, folks. I mean, that is the end of our first episode in this, what's going to be a really great journey into Fincher's directorial works. I'm so excited to go down this road with you guys and talk about my absolute favorite director. And it's just going to be so much fun to watch these films again, and not just for pleasure or for analysis, but just so that knowing that we get to talk about them after we watch them. And John, I know you and I have talked at length about how sometimes it can be a tough slog to do research for a podcast. We're just like, oh, I got to watch this horrible, horrible film just because it's on the slate, or just because it was done by this person at this time or in this year.
That's a great ad for Retro Perspective. Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you want a proper ad done, get a proper director, not me.
Get Fincher. Fincher.
Get Fincher. Get somebody like that, because this is going to be like, I love every Fincher film. It's just at varying degrees that I love it. And so that's why I am so excited to do this. What are you guys, Brandon, what are you most looking forward to? Not just what movie you're most looking forward to, but what are you looking forward to about this show, about this podcast?
I'm looking forward to getting a few other perspectives, because I'm kind of known for rating things a little bit higher. And, I've never really talked about Fincher films with people, so I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm also looking forward to maybe getting some perspective on some of the films that I truly love, and maybe finding out why John doesn't like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo that much. Or maybe for me to come in and say, this is why this is my favorite one. Because I think that my favorite one, if you haven't seen my ranking list, might surprise you. Right. And, but that's also the hard thing, is if we do it as we rank as we go along, I mean, something has to be at the top and something has to be at the bottom. And here I am, I've already said it, that I give 9 of these 10 movies 5 out of 5. Like, I'm splitting hairs when I'm trying to rank them, because I love them all so much. So I'm looking for some counterbalance to my over positivity, and I'm looking forward to just in general having my first discussions about a lot of these films with people who love movies. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. Yeah.
I don't think I could say it any better than that. Same.
Yeah. I'm definitely, that's absolutely, I feel the same way. Like, I'm looking forward to talking about it with you guys, getting your perspectives on things. And I'm really looking forward to disagreeing with you guys. I really am. I love getting the alternate perspectives on it, because there are no wrong answers. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And we hope that you guys listening at home have a fun time too. And we want to hear from you guys. Please reach out to us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter at Join Nerd Party. You can find us on Instagram at The Nerd Party. We're on Facebook. Just search for us. And also, if you want to email us about maybe what's a music video that you absolutely love that Fincher did that we haven't talked about, go to thenerdparty.com/contact, select House of Fincher from there, and there you can email us. And we want to hear from you guys. And if you like what you hear here, maybe you can go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever they're calling it these days, and give us a review. And just tell us what you like. You can give us any kind of review that you want. But we really just want to hear from you guys. And hopefully you can watch along with us. That would be an amazing thing.
And one thing we should probably tell the listeners as well for our watch along is when we get to the TV series, like we're only going to do season 1 of House of Cards, but we will be doing both seasons of Mindhunter, and those will all be independent episodes. Like House of Cards season 1 will be 1 episode, Mindhunter season 1 will be 1 episode, and Mindhunter season 2 will be 1 episode.
Correct. And I'm so glad that you brought that up. Yes, that's how we're gonna play it. It's gonna be his feature films starting with Alien 3 and ending with Mank, but with House of Cards, like 1 season of House of Cards and 2 seasons of Mindhunter in between. All right. Now, John, where else can we find you real quick?
Here on the network, co-hosting Aggressive Negotiations with Matt Rushing. It's a Star Wars podcast, and you can find me as Kessel Junkie on your social network of choice. Just primarily I'm on Letterboxd and unfortunately Twitter an awful lot. So that's where you can find me.
Brandon, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Brandon Matella, and I'm the co-host of 3 other podcasts, I guess. I am on Trek FM with a show called The Line, which is all about the new Star Trek Picard show. And I have a show called Franchise Fatigue on the United Federation of Podcast Network with my friend Zach Moore, and John has been on a few times. Over there we talk about movies, remakes, and sequels, and so we'll talk about all of the movies in a row, 1 episode per movie. We love sequels and we love remakes, so that's why we came up with that idea. And you can also find me on the Fandom Podcast Network with a show called Good Evening, an Alfred Hitchcock podcast, and over there my friends Chris and Tom and I, we cover all of Hitchcock's films in chronological order. Because he's my other favorite. And, it's going to be interesting talking about Fincher because, Hitchcock is such an influential director, and there's a lot of things that Fincher does that are directly inspired by Hitchcock. And I think that the two of them are very similar in the way they work. So this will be a fun counterpoint to my Hitchcock podcast, I think.
I am really looking forward to your insight on that. I'm really want to hear your comparisons between those two great directors of very different times. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I hope I don't let you down.
I am the publisher of the Nerd Party Network, and so you can find my work all over the place. All you got to do is go to thenerdparty.com, and I am the Insane Robin all over the social networks. Like John, I'm on Letterboxd and Twitter. Those are the main places that you can find me. So thank you, everybody, for listening, and please watch along with us and reach out to us. We want to hear from you. And from all of us, thank you very much for entering the House of Fincher.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.